Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is really doing sort of a little bit of a deeper dive into the feuds and the frenemies and all of that between Kyle Richards, Lisa Vanderpump, and Dorit Kemsley. Not to mention that Kyle Richards' daughter, Farrah, just her house got robbed, which is really scary, but we'll dive into that as well. And then also the feud we did not know we needed, but Lisa Vanderpump versus Jax Taylor. We will talk about that as well. But before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget that as you come into the room, if you're watching this live, be sure to say hi, drop something in the chat, and yeah, let's have a really fun and lively discussion, everybody. So with that, let's start off with our first story. So, unfortunately, yesterday, or perhaps the day before, it was revealed that Kyle Richards' daughter, Farrah, her LA home was burglarized. And they basically stole her handbags, her jewelry in broad daylight. I mean, these thieves and robbers, they are getting bolder and bolder and bolder. We've seen that. Allegedly, Kyle's home was burglarized once or twice. Allegedly, Dorit Kemsley's house was robbed once or twice. Crystal Kong Minkoff's house was just robbed while she was in Japan. Wendy Osefo's house was robbed while she was, I want to say Jamaica or someplace like that, on holiday with her husband and her kids. Also, Anila's house from Married to Medicine was burglarized a couple years ago. Now, with all of that being said, my personal opinion is, do I believe all of these robberies are legit? Maybe, maybe not. But do I believe some of them are legit? I do. So let's dive into what happened to Farrah. All right, so this is according to Reality Blurb. It says Kyle Richards' oldest daughter, Farrah, or maybe it's Farrah. Farrah was targeted with a home robbery on Tuesday afternoon in broad daylight. According to a new report, the 35-year-old buying Beverly Hills Stars Los Angeles residence was broken into by thieves who reportedly got away with several expensive handbags and nearly all of her jewelry after forcing their way in and disabling her Wi-Fi. On April 23rd, sources told TMZ, and I do have the video from TMZ. We'll watch it after the article. That Farrah's home was broken into around 1 p.m. and that Farrah, who Kyle shares with her first husband, wasn't home at the time. They also noted that the robbers got away with a lot of Farrah's belongings, although an exact estimate wasn't given. After reportedly forcing open a door to her residence, the thieves cut her Wi-Fi off, potentially to disable surveillance cameras. However, as TMZ noted, the break-in was likely still captured, at least in part, from different angles around her property. Following the incident, she and her Real Housewives of Beverly Hills mom were seen speaking to investigators. Okay, now, am I a little cynical? Am I a little suspect when it comes to all of these home robberies and insurance scams? Yeah, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in conspiracy over here with the candy canes. I personally didn't buy Kyle Richards' house robbery story. It just didn't make any sense. It happened with Teddy Mellencamp's husband, Eddie. His shady, surveillance safety company was the one who did it. He was Dorit Kemsley, when she also allegedly got robbed, it was the same exact shady security system by Teddy Mellencamp's husband. Now, as we know, there's been questions around both of those robberies. We've seen Kyle wear jewelry and handbags that she had alleged had gotten stolen. Like Garcelle so flawlessly said in her confessional that she doesn't notice jewelry except for the fact that, Dorit, after her robbery, she still had hers. And her robbers were so nice and kind to just leave her iPhone, which is a very expensive phone that she could use to, I don't know, maybe call the police, delicately by the gate for her to come and get. So all of these things are very, very suspect. Now, does the apple fall far from the tree when it comes to, is Farrah kind of following in her mother's footstep with these sort of sketchy robberies where it just so happens all of your jewelry is taken, all of your designer handbags, which I'm sure is all insured? Hey, I'm not saying it's fake. I'm not saying it's real. I'm just saying this is what happened to her. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this robbery is real, or do you think there's some questions going on that we've had about other robberies? Okay. While sources said that she is understandably shaken up over the incident, Kyle confirmed she is, quote, doing fine when confronted by a photographer after the unsettling ordeal. Yes, she's fine, she stated. Now, if Kyle, who claims to have every anxiety disorder in the world, and I'm not being shady or disrespectful about mental health, I'm just saying how Kyle is, in the world, she's like scared of everything. For her to be so flippant and to say her daughter is fine after her daughter's house was broken into reminds me of PK, Paul Kemsley, Dorit's husband, who kind of laughs at Dorit when she says she has PTSD from being, robbed. He's like, I don't believe it. It sounds like a bunch of BS, because we're all like, yeah. He's like, sweetheart, in my mind, again, allegedly, he's like, we planned this for the insurance money. Like, you knew the robbery was fake. Why do you have PTSD from this fake robbery we planned? Because we got all these millions of dollars that I just so happened to pay off my gambling debts with, right? So to me, it's kind of like Kyle, who is like, acts like she's scared of like a mouse. She's always so anxious and just running around, and, she can't even talk. Is like, yeah, my daughter's fine. Girl, all of the slips are showing. As noted by TMZ, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is conducting an investigation into the robbery at Farrah's home, and no arrests have been made at this point. It is also unclear how many thieves actually broke into the home. As Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fans may know, the robbery comes just years after Kyle and Mauricio Umansky's $8.2 million Encino home was targeted by thieves who reportedly made off with over $1 million worth of her belongings. Now, don't forget that this was Kyle then. Remember when it came out how she was wearing the alleged jewelry and handbags that were supposed to have been stolen, and then all of a sudden at the reunion she's like, oh yeah, so the robbers called me from jail to tell me that they had all of my stuff in their grandmother's basement, and if I wanted to get it, I could. And in my mind, I was like, wait a minute, I'm super confused. Number one, if the alleged robbers are in jail and all phone calls from jail are recorded, then wouldn't you just go down to the jail and be like, hey, the person you have in jail just admitted on this recorded line that they stole millions of dollars of my jewelry and handbags, and this is the address, so the police could then go and seize the stolen property. Doesn't that make the most sense? Does it make sense that the robbers who are in jail are randomly going to call you to try to extort you for stuff that they already stole from a police phone line that is recorded? And if they're in jail, I'm pretty sure they will have that person's identity, and they could probably figure out where their grandmother lives. And also, why would they have stored the stolen goods? Wouldn't the stuff be hot? Wouldn't they want to like sell it to get money? They just so happen to like bubble wrap and package Kyle's jewelry and handbags just in case one day they happen to get arrested, so that they could then call Kyle and say, hey, pay me money and I'll give you the stuff. It's at my grandma's house. Yeah. And it just so happens her daughter then gets, broken into in broad daylight. Sure. Sure. Ugh, it's just a hot mess. But let's watch the video from TMZ and then we can discuss more.
Hey Kyle. Are you okay? Is everyone safe? We heard there was a burglary. Is your daughter safe?
Yes, she's fine.
She's safe? Is everyone okay?
Yes, thank you.
Did they get the guy that did it?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Good to see you.
Thanks.
I don't know. I don't know. I will say this, regardless if this is a fake robbery or a real robbery, I am happy that everybody is safe, because, God forbid this is real and, thank God she wasn't home and everybody is safe. But giving the history of questionable break ins and robberies and insurance scams, I don't know. I'm not just so quick to believe all this all of the time, but I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. Do you think this robbery is real, or do you think it's a little fishy, the same way Kyle and Dorit's and maybe some other Bravo stars robberies have been a little fishy? So put it down below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story, which is all about Jax Taylor and Lisa's Vanderpump latest feud. So, first off, Jax is kind of walking back his claim that Vanderpump Rules is scripted. So, just to remind you guys, I do have the video of Jax being pretty drunk at his, new sports bar saying that Vanderpump Rules is scripted. We'll watch that video again in a second, but he's kind of, walking it back. So this is according to Deadline. It says Jax Taylor, star of The Valley, got hit with the reality and now got hit with reality and is now walking back claims that the former show he starred in, Vanderpump Rules, is scripted. Onlookers recorded the reality TV personality at his bar in The Valley, saying the Bravo reality series was not as authentic as many believed. Taylor now apologizes for his remarks and explains why he went off against the show that made him a star. So, as you guys know, I have a big mouth and it gets me in trouble from time to time. Taylor said on the latest episode of When Reality Hits podcast, which he co hosts with his estranged wife, Brittany Cartwright. Brittany noted that she was not present at Jack's bar where he hosted a viewing party for the show, adding, "Do not group me in with what he says." As we know, Jax and Brittany are separated right now. They're going through a very contentious, nasty split. So we'll see what happens there. And she's basically like, keep my name out your mouth. I wasn't there. I want to keep my job. Keep me out of it, right? I did a little something at my bar last week, which I regretfully went on a rant about how Vanderpump Rules is scripted, he continued. I'm incredibly embarrassed by that. Taylor explained that before he got into his bar for a viewing party, something was brought to my attention that really upset me. Although the reality star didn't give details about what upset him, and he said he was embarrassed by my actions. I feel bad for putting the show that has probably been the most authentic television out there, he added. Certain people on the show may rub me the wrong way from time to time, but I should never have trashed the show like that. Vanderpump has been and continues to be incredible TV, and I will always stand by that. As many of you know and seen, I can overreact impulsively, and I just want to apologize for all that. I'm sorry, guys. That was very wrong of me. Brittany reminded Taylor, or Jax, that he should have never put the show down like that, as Vanderpump Rules gave both of us our start on everything. Honestly, couldn't have been more wrong, Jax said. It's the most authentic show out there. There's nothing scripted about it. You can't script that stuff. Okay, number one, Jax is really just trying to save his job. Like, don't forget the fact that Vanderpump Rules is executive produced by Lisa Vanderpump, who also executive produces The Valley, which is what he is currently starring on. So to go out there and say, oh, it's scripted, it's horrible, it's all fake, he's trashing the show that got him on air, and then he's also calling into question his own show. Is your own show fake? Is it scripted? And he's already has an ongoing beef with Lisa Vanderpump. So I personally think that yes, Vanderpump Rules is scripted. Yes, the Valley is scripted. I think it's based in reality, but it's obvious that the producers are producing storylines. It's obvious that the cast get together and they decide what storylines and what personas they want to have on the show. To me, all of that is very, very obvious. So is it scripted in the sense of they have a script that they're reading from? No. But is it scripted reality? Yes. And I agree with Jax. As the years has gone on, it has gotten faker and faker and faker, more and more produced, but so has basically every other reality show. Look at the Housewives, highly produced, highly scripted, highly fake. It's rooted in reality, but it's very, very produced. Now, let's watch what Jax said, and then we'll look at Lisa Vanderpump's response.
Disastrous. We don't even hang out with each other. Show me a scripted show. Scripted. I've been on the show for 9 years. This is scripted. I'll be on next week, and I'll tell you what, it was scripted.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is disastrous. Don't get me wrong, when we started, it was awesome. Seasons 1 through 6, organic. It was real. Now everybody starts to have money, and now it becomes fake. Anything after 6 seasons is a wash. It's a wash. Nobody shows up to Chanel earrings on with a peach. Wait. Sitting here to have a conversation.
No, I know Kate.
In the beginning, this is our job, and this is what we love to do. This is when it goes too far. Now you have a real show. That's where it all started. It's organic. It's real. These are all brand new people. Don't be acting like we're all scripted. Here we go.
Yeah, so I pretty much think Jax was telling the truth about how it's scripted, especially the later years, but he also does not want to get canceled and he doesn't want to get fired again. So, of course, he's going to backtrack. Now, let's see how Lisa Vanderpump clapped back. So, this is according to page 6. It says Lisa Vanderpump shut down Jax's claim that only the early seasons of Vanderpump Rules were organic and real, while the recent installments are fake and scripted. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to say scripted. Nobody can write a script like Vanderpump Rules. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills alum told Entertainment Tonight in an interview published on Thursday. Lisa quipped that perhaps what Jax said and did during his 8 seasons on the Bravo reality show was scripted, but that does not apply to the rest of the cast. I don't even think Jax was scripted when he was on Vanderpump Rules. I think he really means like now. Maybe he sits at home in his little bedroom and writes his own scripts. Well, what do I know, she said. Anyway, for the most part, anything Jax says doesn't make any sense to me. Jax made headlines earlier this month when Page 6 obtained a video of him slamming the series that put him on the map. Show me a scripted show and I'll show you effing Vanderpump Rules. Scripted, scripted, scripted. I've been on this show for 9 effing years. This is scripted, he said while holding a microphone at his new bar, Jax's in Studio City. Now, it should also be noted, ironically, that in the last episode of The Valley, Jax and Brittany are trashing Lisa Vanderpump. Oh, she was so nice to us, acted like she was like a mother figure or a mentor while we're on the show. And then once we got fired, she dropped us. She never checked in on us. You know, we had the baby, didn't hear from her, blah, 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 blah. However, they negate and forget to add the fact that Jax, prior to that, went on a rant and a smear campaign against Lisa Vanderpump while he was still on the show. Remember, he was wasted and was like, this is my show and I made this show. And she was like, your show? I'm pretty sure it's called Vanderpump Rules. And then he was going on tirades. Him, Tom Sandoval, and Tom Schwartz, all 3 of them have been very disrespectful and ungrateful towards Lisa Vanderpump. Now, when I say ungrateful, I don't mean you need to kiss anybody's butt or anything like that. But there does need to be a level of respect and reverence for someone who literally gave you your livelihood and a platform that you now, if you play your cards right, could pretty much do whatever you want. Like they need to show her some respect. And not of that, like she's also like their elder, their boss, she's an executive. She gave them this platform, and all of them are like, oh, Lisa thinks she's this and she thinks she's that. And Lisa, and then Jax was like, Lisa doesn't need to even be on the show anymore. Why is she here? Just to act like she's doing something. Mind you, he went on these anti-Lisa rants prior to being fired, and then even after he was fired. So you need to preface all of your Lisa Vanderpump slander that you and Brit were doing on the last episode of The Valley with, oh yeah, and by the way, the reason why she doesn't mess with me anymore is because I literally went on a tirade against her publicly and in the press. That's why you see now on Vanderpump Rules, when they sort of have, Jax coming back for a couple of episodes, he has to apologize to her. And she's like, all right, we got it out there. It's good that you apologize of everything he said. So to me, it was, again, Jax and Brittany acting like they don't know why Lisa stopped messing with them. If I'm Lisa Vanderpump and I'm executive producing a show called Vanderpump Rules, and I've given all of these model actors a job in the industry that has literally prepared them for the rest of their lives. Like, Jax, you're only on the Valley because you were on Vanderpump Rules. Jax, you only have, all of your campaigns and products and, your new sports bar because you were on Vanderpump Rules. That's the foundation for everything that you've done. You too over there, Brit. So have a little bit of respect for the person who gave you that opportunity. Again, you don't have to bow down to anybody. You don't have to worship anybody or kiss anybody's butt, but there should be a level of respect and reverence for that. And they totally thought that they were bigger than the show, bigger than Lisa, and they quickly found out that they were not. So I'm happy that she's clapping back at him because it's ridiculous, Jax went on to claim that the current Pump Rules cast members do not even hang out with each other and when they're not filming, calling the show disastrous and fake. Well, I will give him that. I do think the last 3 seasons, no, 4, 9, no, 3, season 9, 10, and 11 have been horrible. I will give them that. The only thing that saved this show was Scandival, and I think it only saved it for a season. Notably, Jax dubbed his new Vanderpump Rules spinoff, The Valley, quote, a real show. Now, this is where I diverge with Jax because I think The Valley is very, very produced. And by that, I mean Jax and Brittany are doing the absolute most, trying to create drama, trying to create stuff. Kristen Doty is her own worst enemy. I was kind of on Kristen's side until the end of the last episode of The Valley. She never should have inserted herself in the Jesse and Michelle drama at the dinner. She should have just piped down. But again, maybe she's just trying to make a show, trying to stay relevant, trying to just keep it going. Who knows? The bartender later backtracked as his comments and admitted he was embarrassed by Jax's public outburst going viral. Yikes. So I want to know what you guys think about this, new feud between Jax Taylor and Lisa Vanderpump. I obviously land on Lisa Vanderpump's side. I think she's given all of these, mactors, model/actors, such a big break in their lives, and they should kind of give her more reverence and a little bit more respect. I feel like talking bad about Lisa is kind of gross. Exactly, Barbara, Stassi, and Kristen. They've all badmouthed Lisa, and it's just like, excuse me, where would you be without Lisa if it wasn't for this show? Have a little respect. So I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. Do you think the shows are fake? Are they too heavily produced, like a lot of reality TV? Or do you think Jax was just jealous because he is not back on the show? So put it down below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story. So since, everyone's talking about the upcoming season 14 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, who's fired, who's coming back, everyone's on the chopping block, I thought it might be a little nostalgic to kind of revisit the Kyle Richards and Lisa Vanderpump feud timeline, as it's rumored Lisa Vanderpump might be coming back to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If she does, I would love it. I think it would be amazing and ecstatic. And also, maybe that's why Dorit hasn't gotten a contract yet. I haven't heard any updates on that. Last we heard, Dorit was the only one that of the remaining cast, other than obviously Crystal and Anna Marie, without a contract. And I think that if they obviously they fired Lisa Rinna, so check. And then if they fire Dorit, check. I think Lisa Vanderpump might come back. I know she still beats with Kyle, but I think she might come back to take Kyle down. And without Lisa Rinna and without Dorit, Kyle's position is very, very weakened. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive into that. So this is according to Screen Rant. Da, da, da. When The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills began its first season in 2010, Kyle Richards and Lisa Vanderpump developed a friendship no one thought would ever crumble. But they began feuding over the years. No matter what Lisa had done to Kyle in the past, she managed to move past it in hopes of salvaging a friendship. However, the band-aid Kyle slapped on the cracked friendship started to fall amid the infamous Puppygate storyline during Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 9. Since then, the two have become real enemies. Both Kyle Richards and Lisa Vanderpump joined Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in its very first season. They were close friends before appearing on the show, and their friendship became stronger as the series progressed. Kyle always had Lisa's back, even when she felt she was wrong, but Lisa never seemingly reciprocated her loyalty back to Kyle. The friendship was always seemed one-sided, ultimately becoming the demise of their close bond. I personally disagree with that assessment. I think that Lisa has always been very loyal to Kyle, and Kyle kind of threw that in the trash when Puppygate happened. Okay. So the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 2 fight explained. During the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 2 reunion in 2011, Kyle Richards and Lisa Vanderpump's friendship faced its first major falling out. The mother of four called the restaurateur calculated and compared being in a friendship with her to playing chess with Bobby Fischer. Lisa was hurt by Kyle's comparison, leading Lisa to distance herself from Kyle in the following season. Now, this is the thing. Turns out the real Bobby Fischer is Kyle. As it all has come out, she's really been the sniper from the side, manipulating people, having the faux Fox 5, having people do her dirty work, have people be her mouthpiece, whether it's Teddy Mellencamp or whether it's, Anna Marie. She always needs someone to do her dirty work. Kyle and Lisa's Real Housewives of Beverly Hills feud was reignited. Though Kyle and Lisa tried to reconcile after the Bobby Fischer comparison on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 4, their feud was reignited. Brandy Granville claimed that Lisa planned to bring the tabloid stories containing cheating rumors about Kyle's husband, Mauricio, on the cast trip to Puerto Rico. Kyle was disappointed that Lisa would engage in conversations about those infidelity rumors on camera, even though Kyle and Mauricio denied them. Lisa also denied that she wanted to bring the tabloids on the trip. Now, who do I believe when it comes to Lisa Vanderpump or Brandy? I'm going to go with Lisa Vanderpump. I think that Brandy has always been very thirsty, always trying to steal the spotlight, and she always does things and then blames other people. And at the end of the day, just look at what's going on now with both Brandy, Lisa, and Kyle. So Kyle's denying the cheating rumors, even though I get it, to deny the cheating rumors and not want the tabloids to come out on the show. I get that, wanting to protect your family, wanting to protect your marriage. But at the end of the day, you're on a reality TV show about your family and your marriage. So it is what it is there. Now, look at Lisa versus Brandy. Brandy is now a part of, a lawsuit of her getting wasted and allegedly being sexually inappropriate with her cast member. And instead of taking responsibility, she's blaming everybody else. Oh no, it's production. They made me do it. No, it's Andy Cohen. He made me do it. She's blaming everybody but herself. And then look at the trajectory of her own life. As she says, she admits she drinks too much. She pops too many pills, but it's everybody else's fault. Anytime Brandy gets in trouble, somebody else made her do it. Where look at Lisa Vanderpump, she's thriving. She has a new show on Hulu, Vanderpump Villa, which is doing great. She's opening up new restaurants in Lake Tahoe called Woof. She's opening up restaurants all over the place in Vegas. She's doing the damn thing. you know? So it's kind of like, who has that pattern of doing really bad things and then blaming everybody else for those things? And then look at Kyle and Mauricio. Clearly, they are, getting divorced, allegedly, separating after 27 years, cheating rumors running rampant. So, out of those three people, the person who kind of like has come out on top, who maybe wasn't lying, seems to be more like Lisa Vanderpump. Okay. Drama with Yolanda Hadid impacted Lisa and Kyle's relationship. Their friendship took another major hit during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 6 after Lisa Rinna and Eileen Davidson claimed that Vanderpump had tried to drag Kyle into their Yolanda controversy. Rinna suggested that Yolanda was lying about her Lyme disease diagnosis and implied she suffered from Munchausen syndrome. Even though Kyle had nothing to do with the gossip, Rinna and Eileen revealed that Vanderpump had been trying to drag Kyle into it. Kyle was annoyed that she was pulled into the drama, but she managed to get over it fairly quickly. Again, consider the source. As we know, Lisa Rinna literally created a Mean Girls group called the Faux Fox 5, whose sole mission was to take down Lisa Rinna, or to take down Lisa Vanderpump. And Lisa Rinna is a known liar. Look what she did to Kathy Hilton. Look what she did to Yolanda. Look what she did to, basically everybody on the show, how she treated Garcelle. Like her whole situation with Lisa Rinna. And again, look at the track record. Lisa Rinna ends up getting fired for all of her bad behavior and lies and darkness and all of that stuff. And look at Lisa Vanderpump. She got spin-offs and new shows and all of this other things. So at the end of the day, when you look back at all of this stuff retrospectively, you kind of see who has the pattern of lying and denying and being dark and, pitting people against each other versus people who are still thriving, focusing on themselves and in their own lane. And Eileen Davidson was kind of like a puppet for Lisa Rinna. I don't even think they're still friends because when Lisa Rinna was going through it, Eileen Davidson was very quiet. I don't know who came to Lisa Rinna's defense when she was going through it. I don't really know anybody who did. Nobody wanted to be canceled along with her. Okay. Now, Puppygate is what ended Lisa and Kyle's friendship. The scandal that ended the seemingly unbreakable friendship between Lisa Vanderpump and Kyle Richards is the infamous Puppygate storyline. It began when Dorit Kemsley adopted a dog from Lisa's rescue, Vanderpump Dogs, and rumors emerged that she gave the dog to a kill shelter. Lisa reportedly planned to make Dorit look bad by involving Teddy Mellencamp. Tabloids began covering the situation with Dorit believing that Lisa leaked information to the press. Kyle then confronted her, which led to a huge blowout fight with her husband, Ken, at LVP's home. He kicked her out of the home, with Lisa never to appear alongside the women again. Kyle continues to star in the current Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 13, but Lisa left the Bravo series after 9 seasons. While her relationship with Kyle wasn't the only reason, the aftermath of Puppygate and other scandals certainly didn't help. The pair will likely never be friends again, but their drama on the show before Lisa left was fascinating to watch. I think it's also worth mentioning that during Puppygate, Lisa Vanderpump was mourning. She was legitimately in grief. Her brother, unfortunately, had taken his own life. Shortly after that, her mother passed away. She's grieving the death of her brother and her mother. And these women created the Faux Fox 5, which was Lisa Rinna, Kyle Richards, Dorit Kemsley, and Erica Jane, or the Faux Fox 4, is it? Wait, Dorit Kemsley, Lisa Rinna, Erica Jane, Kyle Richards, and Teddy Mellencamp. Yes, the Faux Fox 5. They legitimately created this mean girl group with the sole purpose of taking down Lisa Vanderpump when they knew she was vulnerable because she's mourning the loss of her brother and her mother. Now, that is really disgusting. So the demise of their friendship was not about Puppygate. It was about the fact that someone who's supposed to be your best friend has joined forces with other women to take you down when you're mourning the loss of your mother and your brother. And, there's that infamous clip where Lisa is like basically in grief and shock, and she's talking about the death of her brother. And Kyle says to her, well, yeah, we all got stuff going on. Like, we all have problems. Excuse me, what, miss? Excuse me, what? you know? And now that, unfortunately, and I wish this on no one, so I'm not going to be like, oh, karma got you, because that's really dark and evil, and I'm not into that. So, very unfortunately, in this particular situation, Kyle, you know, a year, maybe a year now, maybe a little over a year now, lost her best friend to, you know, mental illness as well. She unfortunately ended up taking her own life. Now, it's one thing to lose your brother, it's another thing to lose a friend. You know, so family is one thing, friendship is another, but to still have somebody close to you do that. And she hasn't shown any type of maturity or understanding of like, whoa, now that this has happened to me, I feel so ashamed, or I feel guilty, or I want to apologize for the way that I treated my friend Lisa, who was going through this. There's been none of that. There's been zero accountability. Kyle did the same thing with Sutton. You know, Sutton's father unfortunately succumbed to mental illness and ended up taking his own life as well. She did the same thing to Sutton when Sutton was talking about her PTSD and Dorit's alleged break-in. She's like, yeah, whatever, Dorit, you weren't, you know, nice to you, or whatever, Sutton, you weren't nice to Dorit and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, wait a minute. Like, this whole situation is bringing up some of my stuff. Still no apologies, still no self-awareness. So their friendship didn't end because of Puppygate. Their friendship ended because someone was fundamentally not just not there for her friend, but actively against her. You know, it's one thing not to show up for me, but to actively be against me when I'm grieving the loss of my family, that is something that I don't believe a lot of people ever come back from. So on this one, I am team Lisa Vanderpump. I think it was, you know, I think Kyle did a lot of dirty stuff in the dark. Now, I'm not saying Lisa Vanderpump is an angel. Obviously not. We're all human beings. She's a smart woman. She's a strategic woman. She clearly knows what she's doing. Look at all of her success, all of her spinoffs, all of her restaurants, all of her TV shows. So I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm not saying she's innocent, but I'm saying in the context of what Kyle has done to her versus what she has done to Kyle, I believe the demise of their friendship is more on Kyle than it is on Lisa. So as always, I want to know what you guys think. You know, what do you think about this feud between Kyle and Lisa? And do you want Lisa Vanderpump back for season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? You know, are you ready to have her back on our screens? And if so, do you want her and Kyle to reconcile? Or do you want them to continue their beef and their feud on the next season? So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and put it all down below. So with that, let's move on to our next story, which is again Kyle's latest feud against her ex-BFF, Dorit Kemsley. Now let's break down what happened between the two ladies, and I have a question for you guys. Now we know that Dorit is the only one who hasn't gotten her contract back. Do we want Dorit back for season 14 so that she and Kyle can hash it out and get the real scoop on what's going on in their feud and their friendship? Or do you think, nope, Dorit has had enough seasons to make an impact? She clearly hasn't. It's time for her to leave. So let's break down their friendship, feud, frenemy situation. So this is according to Us Weekly. But before I get into the article, I think the number one reason for the demise of their friendship is the cheating and affair rumors about Dorit and Mauricio. So I grabbed a couple of videos for us to watch. Anybody watching this on the replay, if any of the videos don't play, it's because NBC made me take them down. But if you guys are watching live, you'll get to see it, and hopefully they won't make me take them down. So here are a couple videos sort of explaining the Mauricio and Dorit cheating allegations. And I also want to make it clear, I did not start that rumor. I get some comments sometimes like, what? I'm like, I did not start the Mauricio and Dorit rumor. I just report on it. So let's watch, okay?
You want more, I'll give you more. Speaking of the Dorit rumors and Kyle spiraling, We have the latest Dorit and PK blind item and the latest Mauricio Umansky Dorit blind item. But first, I posted on my main, y'all saw Mauricio Umansky come out with his Emma Slater, his Dancing with the Stars partner, talking about that handhold. The reason why Mauricio had Emma Slater do that video is because between the former Playboy model, the former actress, and his current network reality co-star, this married real estate agent can't keep all the women in his life straight. So Mauricio is allegedly hooking up with Kendra Wilkinson, Emma Slater, and Kyle Richards all at the same time. So Emma Slater had to help him out there because they can't know about each other. Tell them about each other. Now y'all saw this. RHOBH's Dorit Kemsley and Paul Kemsley deny separation amid challenging years in marriage. We remain committed. So despite the fact that they have been living separately and in different residences, they're split. They're split. But the real reason for the split, this housewife had a long time affair, which was really the downfall of her marriage and her lover. But her lover has moved on, even though he said he would be there for her when she finally split with her husband and her lover split with his wife. So this blind item is saying Mauricio and Dorit definitely carried on a years-long affair, okay, while RHOBH was going on. Then they made a deal to leave their respective spouses. Dorit would leave PK, Mauricio would leave Kyle. Mauricio and Kyle split, right? They split. They split. She's in her fucking girl-on-girl era. He's in his Kendra Wilkinson and 18 other women era. And denying hand-holding claims because they were in their rehearsal outfits video. And then Dorit was like, great, I'm going to leave PK now. And then Dorit went and left PK. And Mauricio was like, girl, what? Hooking up with literally like 18 other women. You're not the only one now. And now Dorit's like, just kidding. PK and I like are trying to work it out and heal. God, rich people, they are literally nothing like us.
Oof, you guys. So shout out to Kyle Marissa Roth. She is an amazing TikToker. Unfortunately, she recently passed away. It was a huge shock. Again, I think that her passing was very, very suspicious. I have followed her. She's amazing. She's fantastic. So shout out to Kyle Marissa Roth. Rest in peace, sweetheart. And we still love you, and your amazing reporting still lives on. So that was Kyle Marissa Roth. She just passed away. So I just wanted to show her some love and my condolences and just let everybody know that she was amazing while she was here. And she would love that we're talking about all this stuff. So yeah, there were a bunch of blind items and rumors about Mauricio and Dorit, from them smashing to them having a leave our spouses pact. And for me, there's a little bit of validity to that when you think about it, because PK and Dorit's marriage basically dissolved the same exact time that Kyle and Mauricio's marriage dissolved. You know, PK and Mauricio's friendship, they sort of have like kept up appearances a little bit, but like we saw in last season, PK and Mauricio were not hanging out. Mauricio basically was like, I'm not doing the UK reality show with you anymore. I'm going to go over to Netflix and do my own thing with Buying Beverly Hills. Obviously, Kyle and Dorit are no longer friends. They're not even on speaking terms. The last time they spoke was at the reunion. We've seen them at like different bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and little things like that. But again, those are more like family gatherings and friends. It's not like the two of them actually being like friends anymore. And I think it's like, again, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in conspiracy. The fact that these two marriages basically crumbled at the same exact time, right after the rumor comes out that Mauricio and Dorit are knocking boots. So let's watch a couple of more videos, and then we'll dive into some more of what's going on with these two ladies.
You can't tell me this timing is not impeccable. Dorit and PK are separating, and as we know, Kyle Richards and Mauricio are separated. We all know the rumors between Mauricio and Dorit. The timing right now is so perfect. Like, we're gonna need Mauricio to come through. I'm gonna need Mauricio and Dorit to at least go on a couple dates together. Just for the drama, just for the tea. I know that they would really never date in real life, but I want Mauricio to stir the pot. Because that man has been embarrassed for the last year with Kyle Richards and how Kyle Richards has been parading all around town with Morgan Wade. So I think it's Mauricio's time.
How are you? You look beautiful.
Thank you, my love.
My wife.
I don't think so. If we had to take the wives out of the who wins, who wins?
Your wife.
Clearly, Kyle's not worried about it because she sat them both together at the dinner in Aspen. So, why are we worried if she's not? Thanks for the question. What's my take on Dorit and Mauricio? Do I think they're having an affair? Well, they do act very strange together.
You made it home. I spoke to you last night. Before all this. What's up, ladies?
Hi, honey. Here. Perfect timing. Hi, honey.
How are you?
I'm okay.
I don't know. It's just so far-fetched, but she's over the top lovey. Like, it's always like, my love, honey. Like, all the things like what Yolanda was like. I feel like she's just over the top Yolanda. But there's a few more.
Again, listen, ain't nobody calling my man honey right after me. Stay in your place, ding dong Dorit. Now, I have always said this. Whether or not Dorit and Mauricio actually crossed the line into like a physical affair, I don't know. But I would say, I think that Dorit clearly, in my opinion, has a sexual attraction, crush, whatever you want to call it, to Mauricio. Whether or not Mauricio genuinely reciprocates those feelings, I don't know. He always just kind of seems like, hey guys, what's going on? Okay. He always seems kind of distracted. Maybe he pops some edibles. He's just kind of doing his own thing, like whatever. But I think her attraction to him is pretty clear and pretty evident. That would be enough for me as Kyle to cut Dorit off. You know, you're not calling my man, my husband, honey. You're not kissing him. You're not smelling him. You're not flirting with him. You're not giving him the sexy eyes. You're not doing all of that to my man. Absolutely not. You're not going to play in my face, act like you're my friend, but then clearly have the hots for my husband. Even if my husband was the most faithful man in the world, because we all know Mauricio has had his cheating allegations, you know, whatever the case may be, whether they are true or false, allegations enough are painful. It doesn't sit right. So on this particular one, I'm team Kyle, because I do think Dorit has been inappropriate with Mauricio, whether it's just an energy, an innuendo, a look, a kiss, a smell, a honey. No, thank you. I see what you're doing. Bye-bye. Stay out my man's face is pretty much how I would feel. So I think this is really the crux, the real foundation, the breaking point between these two women is the cheating allegations and rumors about Dorit and Mauricio. Now let's dive into some other issues that these two women have had. Again, this is from Us Weekly. It says, Dorit, Kemsley, and Kyle Richards have been joined at the hip throughout the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but their friendship has taken quite the turn. Season 13 followed the cracks in their relationship, with Dorit expressing concerns that Kyle was prioritizing other friends over her. The following month, things between the Bravo stars started to escalate when Kyle suggested that Dorit was exaggerating the nature of their friendship, citing a comment Dorit made about Kyle not inviting her to trips anymore. Again, I'm with Kyle on this. If I just half of me thinks you want to sleep with my husband, you're damn right I'm not inviting you to vacations. I'm not inviting you into my home. No, I'm not. So I'm with Kyle on this. This is not to be shady, but we've only gone on one trip together as a couple that I can recall. Mauricio Umansky, PK Kemsley, Dorit, and me, Kyle said during a January 2024 Amazon Live. We did do Vegas together, that's true, and then we've been in London at the same time, but that was just a flat-out exaggeration. Dorit has since taken umbrage with Kyle's interpretation of their friendship. Now, this is where I'm Team Dorit. I'll get into what she says, but this is where I'm Team Dorit. If you're going to blank me, if you're going to, deny our friendship, say we had an exaggerated friendship, if you're going to ghost me, at least be woman enough to admit why. Kyle saying that Dorit exaggerated their friendship is a lie. They were really good friends. They were doing couples vacations and dinners and hanging out. They were attached at the hip. They were very, very, very close friends. So was PK and Mauricio. To the point where they were like, oh no, the affair rumors are so ridiculous. We're just really close friends as couples. My children are like Auntie Mo, Auntie Kyle, all of that. You know what I mean? So even Kyle was saying how close they were, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, people are saying we're swingers. No, we're just really close. So Kyle, stand on business, stand 10 toes down, and just be like, either do it in a very sly way, like you don't have to be like abrasive or anything. You could do it in a slick way, but be honest about why you don't mess with Dorit anymore. You don't mess with Dorit because you felt some type of way about how she was coming for your man. Just be honest. That's the reason why you don't mess with Dorit anymore. I mean, you decided to walk away from a 27-year marriage because your husband is doing whatever X, Y, and Z out there in these streets. Nobody would blame you from walking away from a few years friendship with Dorit because she's looking at your man some type of way. But like, stand on your business. That's how I would respect you. You don't have to come out and say it, but don't act like you and Dorit weren't BFFs because you were. Come on. Okay. When you're close, it's inevitable that you have some highs and some lows, Dorit told Access Hollywood while attending the People's Choice Awards in February of 2024. This year was strange, both independently for us and also in our friendship collectively. So yeah, it was inevitable to have some things to hash out. Now let's walk through the timeline. So Dorit makes her Real Housewives of Beverly Hills debut. Dorit appeared on the show for the first time during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 7, which premiered in 2016, getting introduced to the women through Lisa Vanderpump. Dorit's fast friendship with Kyle created a triangle of sorts with Lisa, who was no longer on the show. I'm never going to get in the middle between Kyle and Lisa's friendship, Dorit told People in February of 2018. I don't even know what they have. I know that when we're together, we have a lot of fun and I love these girls. And I know when I'm with them individually, we also have a great fun. Fans became privy to how close Dorit and Kyle became that year when Teddi Mellencamp joined the show for season 8. When Kyle defended Teddi and not Dorit during an argument, the Beverly Beach founder was confused. I don't know why one of my best friends would be sticking up for someone that she just met rather than sticking up for me, Dorit said during a 2018 episode. It really hurts me. It just feels so wrong. Well, Dorit, welcome to Kyle. She had found her mouthpiece in Teddi, so she was going to stick beside Teddi no matter what. And you did get in between her and Lisa, but that's for the puppy gate. Despite any lingering tension between them, it seemed Kyle and Dorit were back to their old ways during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 9 in 2019, especially when Puppygate was involved. Kyle stood up for Dorit with Lisa when the famed Lucy Apple Juicy dog ended up in a kill shelter. Dorit had adopted the pup from Vanderpump Dogs, but tried to rehome the pet before it ended up in the shelter. Kyle's allegiance to Dorit ultimately ended up making Lisa leave the show. Again, I don't think it was Kyle's allegiance to Dorit. I think it was the fact that Kyle, Dorit, Lisa Rinna, Erica Jane, and Teddi Mellencamp banded together to create the faux Fox 5 to bring down Lisa Vanderpump when she was grieving the death of her brother and her mother. So that's why their friendship broke up. Dorit and Kyle stop speaking. The following year, the friends hit a bump in the road when Dorit claimed that Kyle would throw her name on the clothes to find success. Kyle had launched her Kyle X Shahida clothing line with Shahida Clayton, which aired during season 10. I didn't just put my name on the clothing line like Dorit suggested, Kyle wrote via X at the time. I worked closely with Shahida on the looks we wanted. Now, this gets into the whole jealousy and competition thing. So basically what Dorit said was that Kyle just put her name on it. She wasn't really a designer. She wasn't really, actively involved in the business. She basically just put her name on it. Almost like a white label, like, oh, this is my clothing line, but you just put your name on it. Sheen by Sheree type situation is what Dorit is saying. And Kyle was basically like, no, I was a part of the process. This is my business. I was doing all of the designs. Where the jealousy and competition comes in is Dorit has always wanted to be a designer. Beverly Beach by Dorit. What happened to that? That was a flop. She was allegedly curating and designing wedding dresses one season for like half a season. What happened to that? So Dorit's always wanted to be a designer, wanting to be in fashion, but she's kind of had all of these fake businesses and false starts. I don't really know what Dorit does. People have come at Dorit for wearing fake designer clothes and buying designer stuff and then going back to the store to, return it, doing those sort of like buy and return schemes and scams, all of that. So I do think that there's a level of jealousy and competition between the two women when it comes to fashion, being a designer, having brands and clothing lines and all of that. And then I also think there's a jealousy and competition between them in general when it comes to Mauricio's attention, for one, and, other things. Who's better friends with Lisa? Who's better friends with this person? All of that stuff. There does seem to be a bit of jealousy and competition between the two. Okay. Kyle and Dorit do go on vacation with their husbands. Despite the tension during the season, Kyle and Dorit went on vacation with their husbands, Mauricio and PK, in September of 2020. Again, Kyle exaggerating their friendship is a little bit off the mark. Kyle supports Dorit in the robbery aftermath. When Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 12 premiered in 2022, the first episode revealed that Dorit had been robbed at Pew Pew Point in her home while PK was away in London. Kyle rallied the women, inviting them all to her house as a support system for Dorit. But again, this could be a sticky point because don't forget, both of women's robbery has kind of been looked into as maybe fraud, maybe insurance scams, maybe, setups that they did themselves. Because again, both of them had Teddy Mellencamp's husband, Eddie's, surveillance security system up. One said he did it, but the cameras were down. With Kyle's house, super shady. Again, we've all done the deep dives into the questionable validity of these home robberies, with Teddy and her husband being at the center of them. So, of course, Kyle is going to support Dorit during the robbery, because if she doesn't, and it turns out that Dorit's robbery is proven to be fraudulent, then it could easily be proven that Kyle's might have been fraudulent, since they were very, very similar. Both had the same Teddy Mellencamp husband security. So there also might be that mutually assured destruction. So is that really a friendship, or is that just, I'm going to keep your secret because by keeping your secret, I'm keeping my secret? You know what I mean? How Kathy Hilton is involved. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 12 reunion featured a conversation between sisters Kyle and Kathy following the drama that went down earlier that season. Kathy threatened to destroy Kyle following a night out in Colorado, allegedly. When Dorit attempted to chime in, Kyle cut her off, saying, I don't want you to interject in this right now. This is why Dorit says at this year's reunion that she knows Kyle's nature, that unless you're saying what Kyle wants you to say, unless you are being Kyle's yes person and mouthpiece, if you go against her in any way, or not just with her, she will punish you. So the fact that that Dorit had the audacity to hold Kyle accountable and just say, hey, Kathy might just want you to say, well, this was my part in it, to find common ground to get back with your sister. Kyle basically went after her and was like, I don't want you to chime in, mind your business. Behind the scenes, you're saying you support me, but at the reunion, you're siding with Kathy. And the thing with Kyle is, I think she thinks supporting her just means being a yes person to her. And that's not true friendship. That's not true support. True friendship and support is, yes, being there for your friend, but also showing them areas where they could grow, where they could take accountability, where they could become a better version of themselves. And Kyle just always playing the victim. And unless you are saying what she wants you to say, she's going to punish you and ice you out and basically do everything she accuses Kathy of doing. That's not right either. So that's why Dorit says, I know your nature and you're punishing me because I said something you didn't like. And that's also emotional abuse, by the way. So there is that. Things start to unravel as Kyle started to get closer with singer Morgan Wade. Dorit started to feel iced out, especially after hearing the Amazon Live comment. There's stuff with Kyle and I that's going on, and it hurts and bothers me the most, Dorit told Erica Jane in a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 13 reunion preview from February of 2024. I haven't heard from her in a couple of months. Then she sends me a text yesterday, basically trying to silence me. It was so manipulative. It was so calculated. The text messages was shared on screen, and Kyle wrote that it bothers her to be in a weird place with Dorit. They don't even know we are going through a hard time, so I don't see the need to bring it up there. Kyle's text continued. I should have said something sooner, but I honestly haven't been strong enough. But relationships and you are more important to me than the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. However, Dorit also told Access in February of 2024 that she and Kyle will always end up landing on our feet. I don't know about that. Let's see if you get your contract first, Dorit, before you say all that. Now, when it comes to the text message being leaked, I'm actually on Team Kyle. I didn't see it as manipulation and trying to silence Dorit. I saw it more as Kyle being like, so we're going to continue to lie, right? This season, they don't know how hard of a time we've had, they being production, the other girls, Andy, the audience. So let's just keep up the lie because I have other fish to fry at the reunion. I got to deal with Sutton. I got to deal with Crystal. I got to deal with blah, blah, blah. I want to deal with all of that. I'm just checking in to make sure we both are still lying, because Dorit could have just as easily brought to the show and made a much bigger deal about the rift between her and Kyle, but she didn't. She also showed up during the season. Yeah, there was awkward moments between them, but overall, everybody kind of just chalked that up to Kyle going through it with the Morgan stuff, with the tattoos, with the not drinking, with the Mauricio stuff. Everybody kind of chalked up it to Kyle going through it, her distance with Dorit. But clearly there's something much deeper going on, and it's a much bigger deal than any of them were acting like on the show. So Kyle basically was just like, they don't know the realness of going on between us. I'm just making sure we're both going to keep lying tomorrow. I don't see that as her manipulating Dorit or trying to silence Dorit. I just see her that as being like, you're still lying because I'm still lying, right? Cool. But because Dorit had nothing going on during the season, like, we don't want to hear about this PTSD, whatever the case is. She didn't really have anything going on. She's going to take that as gold. She's going to give it to the producers. She's going to say Kyle is manipulative, trying to silence her. And, she wants to, get it all on the line with Kyle at the reunion because she's trying to save her diamond because she didn't really do anything else the rest of the season. What else? What other storyline did Dorit have other than Garcelle reading her for filth every single time she could with Dorit's microaggressions? Other than that, Dorit's only storyline was Garcelle checking her. Other than that, what did Dorit have going on? I'll wait. So of course she's going to take that because Kyle is obviously in the hot seat. She has so much going on and she needs to save her diamond. So when it comes to that, I'm on Team Kyle, and I think Dorit was just looking for anything to make a moment to keep her diamond. Whether or not that worked is still up in the air because rumor has it she hasn't gotten a contract, so she might be fired or demoted to a friend of. So I want to know what you guys think. Given everything that has gone down between Kyle and Dorit, whose side are you on? Are you on Kyle's side? Are you on Dorit's side? Are you on neither of their side? Do you want Dorit to come back full-time, friend of, or not at all? So as always, be sure to put it down below. And before you do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, you guys, I'm going to drop the link